judges,
and welcome to our History Day project
on Hi, I'm Pythagorean, and this is Theorem.
Together we make
The Pythagorean Theorem! We're so alike, we're completing each other's
dinner
sentences.
We're here to explain who Pythagoras was
and what he did.
Pythagoras was just totally radical in his age.
He was totally awesome and also totally.
What?
Pythagoras was born in 530 BC.
Wow, he must be really old.
He's dead.
Really?
There isn't much information known about his past, but we do know that eventually he moved to Greece from the island Samos.
Pythagoras did have a school and a cult behind him.
But that's not very important. Our focus is on the Pythagorean theorem and how it affected math.
I bet you're wondering what the Pythagorean theorem is.
Well,
The Pythagorean theorem is
A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and is used to find the hypotenuse
of a right triangle.
to help you remember this theorem,
We made a musical number.
hit it.
Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem. A squared
Plus
B squared
equals.
C squared.
Oh yeah.
Oh, niche. It's the greatest.
Oh, it is.
It's the best. These are the rest. Word.
As you might have figured out, the Pythagorean theorem is created by Pythagoras so that the Greeks could find the longest side of a right triangle.
For the people who don't understand how the Pythagorean theorem works,
Here is a diagram.
Imagine you set up 4 right triangles to make a square.
This square is C squared, as the triangle's hypotenuses create the sides. If you move the triangles around a bit without changing the shape,
They form 2 squares.
A squared and B squared.
And since the original square was not changed, thus A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Pythagoras built himself a legend with this theorem.
it helps other mathematicians create other theorems and formulas.
Here's an example of it.
In
Hit it again!
Distance formula.
distance formula,
Distance formula.
distance formula,
Distance formula.
distance formula,
Distance formula.
on the screen.
Distance formula.
Check it out.
Distance formula.
Read it now.
Distance formula.
So awesome.
Distance formula.
It came off.
Distance, distance, distance,
The
distance.
Pythagorean theorem.
Distance, distance,
Pythagorean
distance,
theorem.
distance,
Okay.
formula.
I mean the distance formula is used to find the distance of a line using graphing and works because the distances between the x coordinates and the y coordinates are like the sides of a right triangle, and the line is like the hypotenuse.
But back to the Pythagorean theorem.
The Pythagorean theorem, of course created by,
Pythagoras.
is used a lot today in our math class.
In geometry specifically.
Now we got an interview of somebody explaining it all.
On math.
Here's the
Interview.
Who was Pythagoras? Pythagoras was born in about 580 BC. He died in about 500 BC. He had a wife and 2 daughters. He started a school for people who kind of believed in the same things he did. He was a pretty religious man. He believed in the Greek gods. He especially had an affiliation for Apollo. He was a mathematician and a scholar. He believed that everything could be solved with math.
Okay. And how do you think that he affected geometry?
Well, he affected it pretty heavily in that he was the first known person to prove the Pythagorean theorem, which tells us that the 2 sides of a right triangle and the hypotenuse have a special relationship. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. He wasn't the first person to use this. He was just the first person to have any sort of proof written down.
Okay. How would math be today if Pythagoras hadn't given us his theorem?
Well, to tell you the truth, math would probably be about the same. The Babylonians and the Indians both had already been using this theorem for years and years and years. There's just no record of them ever writing down any particular proof for the theorem. So, that being said, math would pretty much be the same. We would still have all the same results we did today, but we wouldn't have the name Pythagorean theorem, we might have some other name.
So the last question is, what do you know about the making of the Pythagorean theorem?
Well, not too much is known about the actual making of the theorem. It wasn't made by Pythagoras, it was used by him. He is attributed with the first proof of it. But the problem with Pythagoras' time is that they were writing on cuneiform tablets, which is just clay, and so lots of those broke and didn't survive the ages. The first known writings about Pythagoras were done by Plato and Socrates and Aristotle quite a bit later, and those are the first survived writings. Also, none of the writings of his followers survived either, so the people who were most directly related with him in his school didn't survive. Another interesting thing about Pythagoras as far as mathematics goes is that he allowed women to be in his close-knit group of followers. They studied math very heavily. In fact, his daughter was a known mathematician who first studied the golden mean, which is also a very important mathematical concept. Pythagoras believed that everything should be in moderation, including the human body, and that was studied with the golden mean.
Okay.
Anything else you want to know about Pythagoras?
Is there any other things that are like we didn't cover in the questions that you know?
He had a very close-knit group of followers, and they were described as a cult. There was an inner circle and an outer circle, and there's also a lot of stories about the things he would make his followers do, including long stretches of absolute silence, and even killing members who broke his special vows that they had to take. He also had people who hated him and tried killing him.
Even though math might be the same without Pythagoras' proof, without what he did leave for us, math would be blank, empty, with many of math's mysteries left unsolved. So that is why we believe that Pythagoras left a legacy behind when he died in 490 BC. All this makes Pythagoras a great Greek mathematician.
Wow, man, that was deep.
I know.
Well, thanks for watching, and judge accordingly. Bye, 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 bye.
Bye.